Welcome to Hey Sister. This is episode 50, Family Photos Shoot.
Hey, sister.
Hey, sister.
Join me, Courtney Lewis,
And me, Carly Ferguson,
in our conversational podcast about everyday situations.
You can count on us to tell it to you straight with our own sisterly spin.
Consider this a phone call with your own Southern sisters as we discuss with you personal accountability, healthy relationships, managing responsibilities, and contributing to society.
Each episode will consist of straight talk and a call to action.
Your sisters are calling.
Thanks for answering. Hello and welcome to another episode of Hey Sister. I'm Carly and I'm excited to introduce y'all to our new theme for the next 2 months, Feel Good Fall. When you think of fall, what do you think of? For Courtney and I, we think of cooler temperatures with a more comfortable wardrobe, holiday in the park at our favorite childhood theme park, Six Flags, and changing colors in the scenery around us, unless you're Courtney in Arizona.
That's very true. Living in Arizona, I have to say, this is unofficially known as the land of 50 shades of beige. It's been a little anticlimactic when it hits fall and there's no leaves that are turning orange and red. It's just sage green desert brush. That's about all we've got here in Arizona.
You got to import it from Hobby Lobby.
Pretty much. Yeah.
All the leaves. And
that's about all we've got. Yeah.
maybe you think of preparing for and enjoying the holiday season. Intentional time with friends and family, cuddling up with blankets and babies, shelves adorned with seasonal decor, and of course, the scent of pumpkin spice. There is so much to be excited for this fall, but let's be honest, there's a lot of work that goes into pulling all this off as a woman. So this season, we're going to make it our mission to focus on the good and learn all the helpful tidbits that will instill a sense of confidence and peace within us as we cozy up with autumn. Courtney, why don't you explain to our sisters how family photos relate to our theme this month?
You know, I'd love to explain. Today's topic was on the top of my list for a feel-good fall subject I personally need more confidence in, and I know in talking with other moms, I'm not alone. We all love to see updated family photos on our walls, or perhaps some old photos that cause us to swoon over days gone by. But let's be real. Getting kids, husbands, ourselves, and sometimes pets physically ready and psychologically geared up for family photos can feel anything but good. In fact, last year when we took our family photos in the Arizona Sonoran Desert, I think we did everything wrong except for booking a fantastic photographer. I had planned our long-sleeved outfits, thinking the weather would have cooled down, and yet here we were in October, sweating bullets, and for some weird reason, 3 of my 4 kids' shoes were randomly the wrong size. But they matched their outfits, so I made them wear them anyway. Combine the wardrobe situation with our overscheduling, and you've got a little bit of frantic mama syndrome. I remember driving like Cruella de Vil to pick my kids up from a jump house birthday party minutes before our photo shoot and asking the kids to change in the car and wipe the cupcake frosting from their cheeks as we drove. Then my phone rings. It's my husband. He beat us to the photography destination and is wondering if we're coming because he had driven there separately straight from work and he was wondering where I was. Our photographer joked it's a rare thing that the husband is the first one ready to go to a family photo. Well, anyway, that malpreparation plus overscheduling caused a sense of angst about our session. But I was so appreciative when we showed up, our photographer helped mellow me out and literally brought mini marshmallows to mellow out and motivate my rowdy 1.5-year-old. Today, that anxiety-taming photographer who worked wonders with my family a year ago is joining us to share some of her best tips and tricks for feeling empowered as you prepare your family for pictures this fall. And before I let her share all her wisdom, I do need to remind you sisters that all resources and links shared today, as well as our minute marker timeline, will be available in our show notes. So be sure to check that out when you hear our guest make any references to something you want to learn more about. Now, I've made you wait long enough, sisters. It's time to welcome Chelsea Barton from Chelsea Film and Photo to Hey Sister. Welcome, Chelsea.
Hey guys, I'm happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here and I'm super excited because we've got you taking our family pictures again this fall. So
I know, I can't wait.
I know. Woo.
So Chelsea, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, I have 2 kids. They're 9 and 7. And my husband, he is currently a resident at University of Arizona. And so that is what brought us to Arizona. and we've been here for 4 years.
Awesome. And Chelsea, you do photography in Tucson, Arizona, but you also do it in some other states as well, right? That you like to visit or that you claim as your homeland?
Yes. So my homeland is Southern California. So when I go back, I do sessions there, or if we go up to Utah, I do some sessions there when we go visit my husband's family.
Awesome. I've loved seeing all the photos that you do and definitely have been a recipient of your eye for photography. Could you tell us, we have you on today as our expert to talk to us about taking family photos during our Feel Good Fall series. But as I said, we need to be honest, taking family photos doesn't always feel good or fun if your kids and your husband are on board. So what peace of mind about taking family photos long-term can you give our sisterhood to help us all feel like the struggle will be worth it when we take family photos this fall?
Seriously, the struggle is real because I do photography, and I think the last time my family took pictures was 2 years ago. So I get how hard it is to get everybody on board and your kids. And then sometimes the hardest person is the husband. Sometimes they can be harder than the kids, but it really is worth it. One of the things I love about photography is capturing a time in your life, even with photos on your phone. When you look back on those pictures, you are reminded of how you felt during that time. Memories just start flooding into your brain after you see an image from a few years ago. And so my goal is to create a session where you have happy memories and not stressful memories. So I know leading up to sessions are super stressful. As a mom, you get everybody ready. But once you're at a session, I hope all the stress just goes away and you look back on those pictures and are reminded of what a fun time you guys had and the memories you guys made that day. And then they're captured forever.
Speaking from personal experience, you did do that for us because, like I said, I arrived feeling like the definition of hot mess. And as soon as we got there, you were like, girl, it's fine. And then you started making jokes with my husband and I to lighten the mood. And it just was really a nice environment to feel like, oh, we can laugh in the desert. We can joke and play as long as we don't run into a saguaro cactus while we're walking through the desert to take this beautiful backdrop of the natural desert landscape as our picture. And I just remember thinking, this is fun. We're in and out fairly quick, but you made it feel so peaceful as we were doing it. And I think that's a good thing to remember, is that seeing those pictures will help remind you of that snapshot in time. So it is important, I think, as we look for photographers too, to look for a photographer that will help you feel comfortable and not stressed as you're taking the picture.
Totally. Yeah. And I think it's hard finding a photographer because you can scroll through social media, Instagram, Pinterest, and there are so many things just flooding your feed. And I think one thing I want to tell people that most people might not know is that when you're looking through those feeds and you see these photographers, I mean, I follow a lot of photographers and I look at them and I just think to myself, are these models? They all are coordinated perfectly. And honestly, I will say that they could be, because we do things called styled shoots as photographers, and vendors get together where you get models and flowers and someone that donates dresses and clothes. And then a bunch of photographers are all together and you get different images of these models that might not be a real family or a real couple. And so just to get more stuff for your Instagram, more content.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to be like, wow, looking at someone's picture on Instagram and being like, wow, they are so put together. How did they coordinate all that together? Well, you don't know what's behind it. They could not be a family. They could have met 5 minutes before the picture and it's all styled for them. So that's something that we need to give ourselves a break as moms too, is that it's okay if it doesn't look perfect, because a good photographer will get it all together. And then that's your snapshot during that time. It's your season of life.
Well, I love that thought, because sometimes, well, as you spoke to the importance of it so that you can look back at these seasons of life and these moments, we're looking forward to taking those pictures with this expectation that is going to, in a snapshot, have this intentional, poised look of our family. And you can't help but have higher expectations for how that day goes. And we know as moms and parents that things go awry really quickly when you have young kids, and that season of life can feel like you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, And so thinking about the importance of it and keeping that as your motivation to have those family photos and to not just let it go and say, whatever, like I'll just never have a picture of our family all together in the ways that I expect it to. But what you're saying is to be comfortable going into it. Could you speak more to that short term of how to get comfortable and advice you'd give on that?
Yeah, definitely. So I've had clients where we had a dinosaur in the pictures because that kid would not give the dinosaur up. And it was fine. I was actually really proud of the mom because she was just like, it's fine. He's always carrying it with him. So might as well have it in the picture, and he was happy during that. And we've had pictures when my daughter was little and she still had a binky and it's in her hand. And those are little things where you'll look back on and be like, oh, remember how Johnny carried that little car everywhere, and they're in your picture forever. So it's okay if they need to have a little comfort, because that is better to have a happy kid with a little toy in their hand than to have crying tears. But I do have some tips to help when your pictures are scheduled and what to do to hopefully make it go more smooth. One thing I will say is to talk it up with your kids the week of, maybe even a week or two before, and just talk about, oh, we're going to get a photo shoot. You guys are going to be models. It's going to be so fun. You can even YouTube different photo sessions of families. And if they're more of a nervous kid that wants to know what's happening, go to YouTube and search for a family photo shoot. And then they'll see, oh, it's not scary. So that's one thing that I think helps leading up to it for little kids that might be nervous, is to hype it up. Get them excited.
I love that. I think my son would benefit from that. A lot of times when we go into like swim lessons or something, I need to coach him through what's going to happen. So not forgetting that in something like that, to talk to him about what picture taking is, because for these kids, this is foreign to them.
Yeah. Especially when it's someone you don't know, a stranger, this person's going to be coaching them to do things. It can be scary for some kids. So definitely hype it up. Another thing I think helps too is now hear me out before I say this, but letting the kids pick their clothes.
What?
Sidebar.
Oh.
With your manipulation, right? So maybe have 2 pairs of pants that look very similar that could go either way, and be like, which one would you want to wear to the pictures? Or if you have 2 different outfits that you are happy with, which one do you want to wear? That way they feel like they decided and they'll be excited about it. If you have to let them choose from. I'm not saying let them go free on their closet unless you want to go that way, but guide them. Then they think that they actually picked out their clothes when really you did it, but they can think it.
Yeah. Everybody wins, and it's compromise.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing that I love to remind people is that kids will be kids. So I know it's stressful and you want to like come off that you have kids that will listen, but we all know that kids just won't listen and they're going to act like kids. I mean, how many times have you as a mom, or even in your own family with your own parents, when the mom is stressed, what does the family do?
Everybody's on edge.
I believe the quote is, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, something like that.
Right. So if the mom is like stressing at the kids are going to pick up on that energy. And so if you're too worried about the kids being kids, then your photographer will make you feel comfortable that it's okay that they're being kids, but just remind yourself, because I get like that too. I'll snap at my kids and be like, stop it. But you have to remind yourself it's okay. They're kids and they're going to act like kids, and it's okay. That is always something to remember.
That's hard too, because there's like a time crunch. You feel like you're like, okay, we're getting in. This is the golden hour, right?
Yeah.
Everyone be golden, go, smile, do the thing. So when things are not going that way and the kids are starting to do things crazily, you're trying to like get them back into shape.
Yeah, but don't do it. Just let the photographer do it. That's the other thing is like when they are being crazy, the photographer will be able to use that. And honestly, some of the best pictures are the ones that aren't the posed pictures, right? Courtney, I think we had you hold your son upside down maybe at one of them because
Yes. One of my favorite pictures from our shoot that actually made it onto our Christmas card was us holding Cash upside down. Cora's missing a shoe because, like I said, the shoes didn't fit. That's who he was. And I have to add, I'm a little bit embarrassed I asked you to do this for us, but if you recall that photo shoot, Cash had gashed his head pretty good the day before. And you asked me, you were very kind. You said, well, do you want to reschedule? And I said, no, but could you Photoshop his face a little bit? And you did for us. And you can't see that he has a scar on his face. But I should have not even asked you to photo touch it because I've learned since that time that that is just who he is. That was just my first exposures to him being a rambunctious toddler. And now I'm like, there's literally not a day when the kid doesn't have a scratch. He has a scratch on his face or a missing tooth or a bruise or a bump at any given point of any given day. But now it makes me laugh because I'm like, that was my first exposure to it where I'm thinking, oh, we're going to take pictures. And I wish that wasn't there. And now I'm like, oh, that's just who he is.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I love that point of kids will be kids. Don't stress so much about everybody's appearance, right? Going into a photo, which is the opposite of what we see on Instagram. And I like to think that these photos you might see on Instagram are styled shoots because when you're looking for family poses and you start looking through different ideas that you could do for family poses or whatnot, you see all these ideas and you're like, oh my goodness, this is perfection after perfection after perfection. And then you look at your own family photos. And I don't know if you remember this, Chelsea, but you tried to get a picture of just my 4 kids. You got the best photo ever of them. But Cash is literally laying across 2 of my kids' lap and is sprawled out and you can't see his face because he's tackling them. He would not cooperate for a group picture of just kids. And yeah, all the rest of the pictures were like holding him upside down, trying to manhandle him. And it was an epic day, but you handled it very well. And I probably wasn't the easiest client because I was a little stressed and I'm learning from you now. So I'll be better for our next photo shoot coming up soon because I'm going to have to take some deep breaths.
I think this is not just our generational thing though, because there were stock photos in frames of perfect families going back. There has been an expectation for Christmas card photos that are happy, smiling family, the picture over the mantle type stuff, which it's okay to have a blend, have it in balance, have it in check, because you can have the desire for that. That's okay. We don't have to be critical of ourselves to want them to wear this outfit or in these colors.
And that's the thing is you need to be true to who you are. But if there's only so much you have control over, and then once you can't control anything anymore, it's okay. But it's hard to let it be okay. I mean, yeah. I'm saying this and it's not like I can practice what I preach, right? So another thing though, on those lines is if they are acting out, one thing to keep in mind is sometimes we're really quick to be like, if you don't do this, I'm taking this away. So instead, maybe do play over discipline. Instead of threatening them, just be like, hey, you guys, why don't we play Ring Around the Rosie? And it will distract them and hopefully change the mood a little bit. Because once you threaten them, some kids, if they're sad, it's just over.
Yeah, the point of no return. We can't come back to this.
Try not to threaten them unless, I mean, everyone knows their own family, but try play over discipline first. Do a silly word or make a tooting noise. Kids cannot not laugh at a tooting noise, right? It will just, even adults. Even
Carly's right now.
Not because I laughed that you said that.
Yeah.
Not that I made one.
Oh,
no. I mean, because I said 2.
I have 3 boys. I have to. Yeah. You got to have a laugh. I love the play instead of disciplining. Well, not instead of, but like opting for that, not forgetting that, because in the moment it's a lot easier to be like, I need to be quick and scold and tell you what to do in this moment. But you really want that jovial, happy, smiling nature to come out, not the Mr. Hyde.
Right. I try and get those planned shots first because usually people are happy and we haven't lost anyone yet. Kids can only pay attention, kids and husbands, I should say, can only pay attention for so long. So your photographer usually will do something like that first, get those planned shots, and then the play will happen. And a lot of shoots will have that lifestyle incorporation because it really is fun to look back on those candid moments. I mean, you only have so much time with your kids as kids that the candid of when you snap your toddler in a belly laugh and you get that, you're never going to get that again. In a few years, they're not going to be a toddler.
I think those are the unique gems that you look back at. And we have in our home, we did bluebonnet pictures here in Texas this past spring. And it was the first time doing that. And one of my favorite pictures from it is one that was not planned. It was supposed to be my husband and I as just us sitting in the bluebonnets. But my two older boys were running up from behind because they just chose that moment to like come attack us. Mm-hmm. And so it's great because the photographer caught that moment. And part of me was like, I really just wanted a picture of us too that we can look back on. But it's so much better to have them with these big grins as they're like coming at us. And it's a lot more realistic, like that snapshot into what our day-to-day life is really like.
Totally. It's more genuine.
Yeah.
Those sneak attacks from behind happen to Carly more often than stage photos. Yes.
Yeah.
Any other pieces of advice for our sisterhood, Chelsea?
Sure. Yeah. I have a couple more. So you mentioned in the beginning, I brought mini marshmallows. That is one of my favorite things to bring is mini marshmallows or Smarties. So I'll bring both to sessions because kids love sugar. They disappear pretty quickly once they're in their mouth. And if they drool, it's not colorful and it won't get all over the place. So if you can remember, maybe pack a few. Some photographers might have something like that, but I've found that Smarties and mini marshmallows are game changers, and they can even put them in their mouth and be happy for a few minutes, click a few, and then put another one in their mouth. Another thing is when you do a session, think about the timing. So you don't want to do it when they're going to be napping, or make sure they eat before, because you don't want hangry babies. I don't want pictures when I'm hangry. So try and think about that too. And then just remember there's beauty in chaos. Just like you were saying, how your kids attacked you from behind and it's one of your favorite pictures. But at the time you were like, dang it. Now you can see how beautiful the chaos is, and you have that forever. So it's okay. If there's chaos, your photographer will capture the beauty of that.
I love that. There is beauty in chaos. I'm like, how can I get that framed and put in my kitchen?
I like the don't be hangry. That applies to ourselves, but also our spouses. All of these things, helping coach them through across the board. Just do it for all present parties. Yeah.
And another thing I'll suggest too is if your family has a favorite activity they like, say you have a favorite board game, or you guys like to play football, or even bring some ice cream cones at the end of your session, do that. And you can have your photographer capture that while you guys are playing Monopoly or eating ice cream together as a family at the very end, or playing football. And then that way it brings the play and it captures something that your family actually does together.
That's really awesome. Yeah, I like that. The ice cream idea is especially helpful. We tried to reward our family after last year's family photo by going to Chili's. And Ooh. I thought it was going to be a good idea. And I have to say, we walked into Chili's and people were like, wow. And I was like, I know, we all match. This has never happened before. I'm announcing to people as we walk by, this never happens. And they're like, you guys look so good. I'm like, I know, we never look like this. And then my kids were absolutely awful the whole time we ate at Chili's, which we've never eaten at Chili's as a family before. This was the one and only occasion that we ate at Chili's.
And never again.
No, it was again.
So not chill.
It was not chill. It was absolutely the opposite. And I remember when we left, there was a double door entry. One kid got knocked in the face. The outfit got completely ruined with the Sprite that we were carrying. Another kid dropped their drink as well at the same exact time. And then a couple was walking in. I mean, it was like 3 different things happened in the space of the double doors opening. And my husband was at the lead and he like looks over his shoulder and I'm getting whacked in the face with a door that fell in my face.
I thought you were going to say he walked on. Who are they?
He would have wanted to.
You match us.
Match us. You have to stay. And then the kids are crying because they just lost their Sprite. And so it's like, walk back in and get another drink refill. And I'm like, I just want to leave. But that was their reward for taking family pictures. We should have just brought ice cream. It would have been so much easier if we just brought a little ice chest and had a few ice cream sandwiches and said, look, we all get an ice cream cone. And then we'll stop and get a cheeseburger on the way home. Or you can go home and eat Cold cereal. Don't try and overschedule yourself. That is what I learned last time too, the day of our photos. We had so many things going on that day and I thought it'll be fine. That's just the life we live. No. I should not have tried to have a birthday party, then family pictures, then going out to eat as a family for dinner because people were hangry. And then it was chaos when we got to Chile. Then it was not beautiful chaos. It was just plain chaos at that point.
Yeah. It's almost like overstimulated, right?
Yes,
the kids had
exactly.
too much stimulation. Don't overschedule yourself.
I mean, but I'm glad that we took the family photos. Although I have to say, even in all of that, when I look at our family pictures, it reminds me of all the joy of that day. So even though in looking back, I'm like, I shouldn't have overscheduled myself, I still smile when I think about it. That was a day in the life of the Lewises. It was birthday parties and family pictures and going out to eat and having a terrible dining out experience. But that was just our phase of life then, and still is.
Yeah. And that's true. Even as you get older. So my family has a Christmas card picture, and I remember getting in so much trouble because I broke some instrument that we were using. And even though that day was awful, looking back now, we laugh at it, right? So even if it turns into the worst session, the worst day, just remember in a few years, it won't hurt as bad and you can all laugh at it. It'll all be happy in the end, right?
I love that. And I think it goes back to the seasons because we're talking about feel good fall. And fall is one of those seasons we look forward to because summer, especially in these southern states, can be pretty dreadful. And so we get really excited about fall, even premature, starting to decorate ahead of time and things. Mm-hmm. But with the season of life, it's sometimes hard to feel like the next thing is really coming. Another phase that is not the chaos that we're currently living in or like the heat that we're dealing with. We're like, so there's another season, right? It's coming. This isn't going to be like summer, super summer.
Right. It's not forever.
So we just need to remember that there are other seasons. And just as the beauty of summer is real, we love it. Sometimes it's just day to day hard, but you look back and you're like, oh, I miss summer. Remember swimming, remember these things. A lot easier later, but great to reflect on.
Okay, Chelsea, we know there's a lot of pressure on moms during this feel good fall. I'm wondering if you've got any stories from sessions where you feel like the mom was prepared and made a session that could have gone poorly feel good. Any stories for us?
Yes. So there have been a time where it was a baby. It was probably like a few months old, so just still young, and blew out everywhere and just all over the outfit that they picked out. But the mom was prepared because she had an extra outfit. And so she was able to change the baby, where that could have gone so bad if something's on their outfit, or, I mean, in this case, it was not anything that smelled good. So it just would not have been fun to work with. So bringing an extra outfit for her baby she saved the photo shoot. And I've seen other moms where they changed them when they get to the shoot. Courtney, I think you did that. Didn't you put your son in clothes when you got into the parking lot?
Yes, because we were coming from that bounce house. So we had kids that were like trying to change in the car and or changing right in the parking lot. That was my attempt at keeping them from ruining their outfits at the party. But that's why when I got there and I brought their clothes, they're like, my shoes don't fit. I'm like, how do these shoes not fit you? I had no idea. You should have told me that 2 weeks ago when we laid your clothes out. That's the thing. Like as a mom, you try and prepare. I love that mom brought an outfit for a baby that blew out, because I think that's something that you might not be prepared for. You might not think that this baby's going to blow out, but Murphy's Law, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. I hate to say that because that feels so negative, Nelly thinking, but really as a mom going into a photo shoot, that's why we thought we could title this Family Photos Shoot, because you have to prepare for the inevitable. It might happen, whatever can go wrong. I don't want to say will go wrong, but could very likely go wrong.
It might.
And you could still get probably interesting pictures from that situation.
Right.
True.
Or a pity reschedule or something.
A pity reschedule.
Right.
There are other possibilities there, but if you have the thought like, oh, this could happen, then plan for that. That's the law.
That's the law. We call it inspiration or mother's intuition. If you think it could go wrong, definitely take note of those little moments that come into your mind and act on them.
I have a friend who, she has 5 kids, and she said this, and I think it's so perfect. She said, being a mom or being a parent is like whack-a-mole. One thing pops up and you're hitting it. Another one comes up and you're just trying, just everything that arises, trying to keep everything, the plate spinning, but keep it down. And that's taxing, but it's rewarding too.
It is.
I probably made that sound a little less rewarding sounding, like bake, 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 bake.
It will never end. Well, it is rewarding when you look at your walls or you look at your Christmas cards or you look on your phone and you see a family picture. There is just something even more so than just taking candid photos during the week on your phone. There is something wonderful about printing your family photos and seeing them and having them framed and having your kids feel like, do you remember when we did that? And having everybody be in a nice outfit, because so much of our day-to-day life is full of moments that are more chaos than beauty. I mean, or it feels that way. If you're not taking those moments, we had an episode 2 weeks ago about the importance of journaling and finding those flecks of gold moments in your daily life. And I think that's what's great about family photos is it is this, we're using this term golden hour. It is that golden hour that you've documented that you can remember, because even if you never print the 11,000 photos on your phone, you'll at least have one photo that you can put on a wall that you can keep. I don't care if, if it's an 8x10 frame or if you get it blown up onto multiple canvases that span across your wall. Print a family photo. And Chelsea, I love hearing that you haven't had a family photo in 2 years, because I think that's relatable. I also love, I have a friend who gets her family photos taken every 6 months because her kids are so young and she wants to document every 6 months. And so she gets a professional photo taken every 6 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm so happy that she does that. We haven't gotten there. We strive for our once a year, every October. That way it's ready for our Christmas card. But I think that family photos, they just make me feel so happy because I don't print the photos on my phone, but the photos that we take annually give me such a great and peaceful feeling. And it really is the feel good fall, even if it is the chaos going into it.
Yeah. And it's so easy to print, especially if it's from one day, to print them. There's so many different options. When we do have our photo shoots, I print them in those small little books and the kids look through them for hours, and they'll pull them out months later and look at them. And everything is so easy to print now.
I love it. You mentioned that quote, beauty in chaos. Are there any other mottos that you live by in regards to photography, Chelsea?
Just to be in the picture as moms. And I'm the worst at this because I'm always taking the picture, but get in the picture. Let someone else take your picture with your kids and be in that moment with them, because you'll see that we're always the one capturing it, in our day-to-day life, but really let a photographer capture the sweetness of you and your kids or your husband and you, because the time is now, right? We're never going to get yesterday back. So just do it. You won't have regrets if you do it. One of my favorite pictures is from the session with Courtney last year, and it's kind of a little moodier and not typically how I edit, but I just couldn't help it. And your son is just like cuddled up on you and you're just looking over him. And it's just such like a sweet, tender moment. Him at that age at 1.5, he's not probably going to do when he's 6. And just to be in the picture. And even if you think, oh, I'll get in better shape in a few months, or, oh, I haven't had my hair dyed in a few months, there's never a good time. Just do it and you'll just be happy with it. And if you don't like it, do it again.
Well, and I like that you brought up that moody picture, A, because he was feeling moody that day, and B, because you edited it moody. And so the hair that hadn't been highlighted in like 8 months, there was some pretty epic roots, but you edited it great so that it kept that moody theme.
Yeah.
So we end our podcast with a doable call to action for our sisterhood. Chelsea, what do you have for our sisterhood today to take this week and apply in their daily lives?
Yeah, this week, I would love to challenge your listeners to just get in the picture. So ask someone to take your picture with your kids when you're out, or if you're at a practice, take a selfie and make silly faces. Just get in the picture. That's my challenge this week, is for the mom to get in the picture.
I love it. And I think there is some value to taking candid photos with your kids during the week that's not with a photographer, but it's also a good reminder too that when you're taking professional photos with a photographer and the photographer wants a picture of mom with kids or mom with husband, you're not vain for having a family picture taken. I think that's a good reminder that it's okay to be in the family picture. We're used to being on the other end of the camera. So I love that call to action. Thank you so much. Chelsea, is there anything else you'd like to add for our sisters today that we haven't covered?
No, I'm just so happy to share my tiny bit of wisdom, the little bit that I have.
Well, pictures say 1,000 words. So
right.
Good
you're
one.
sharing a lot more.
I love it so much. So, sisters, as a recap, Chelsea gave some excellent pieces of advice. Some of the ones that stuck out to me were to hype your kids up for family photos, remind them that they're going to be models and that they could watch a YouTube video of what a photo shoot looks like if you've got younger kids so that they can know what they're getting themselves into. Let your kids pick their clothes with some guided assistance. Maybe give them 2 options that they can choose between, both of which would be okay with you if they chose either. Remember that kids will be kids during a photo shoot, and let the photographer use their crazy moments to take photos and not freak out when kids start acting a little rambunctious. Let the photographer be the one to guide them and take photos during those moments, and not be so worried and looking at the clock and trying to get your kids back to good behavior. So I loved all those pieces of advice so much.
Also, I really liked the opting for play
Yes.
before discipline.
Right. Redirect their energy. So like she said, playing Ring Around the Rosie. So many great pieces of advice. So if you have family pictures coming up, you might want to re-listen back to those pieces of advice, and we'll be sure to include in our minute marker timeline where those pieces of advice come up. So be sure to check out our show notes. As a recap, our call to action this week that Chelsea has issued is to get in the picture. So sisters, be sure to get in the picture this week. And if you want to tag Hey Sister, we'd love to see the pictures that you post. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at the Hey Sister Podcast, where we will remind you all of our call to action this week and join our conversation about this podcast episode. We love to hear your thoughts. And Chelsea, I forgot to ask, where can our sisters find you if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, I have an Instagram. It's chelsea.filmphoto.
Perfect. Sisters, go check out Chelsea's Instagram for more motivation and inspiration about family photos and to see the beautiful backdrop of the Sonoran Desert. Y'all will love it. It's beautiful. Thank you again, Chelsea, for joining us today. It has been such a pleasure to have you on. Sisters, thank you as always for listening. We value your time, and we're so glad that y'all joined us for our sisterly call today. And we look forward to talking to y'all next week as we continue our Feel Good Fall series. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.
So there was some pretty epic fruits, but you edited it great so that it kept that moody theme.
Yeah. And the gray hairs.
Thanks for that. Yeah. The gray hairs.
Hey, sister.
Hey, yeah, I know.
Gray sister.
I feel like, hey, that was good, but rude. But yes, no, it is great. And I embrace my gray.
I love it. I think it's awesome. Seriously.